All right, so I'm here at the UNLV campus. I'm actually going to show you the BOXABL technology here that I think is pretty interesting, actually. Let's go check it out. All right, and you can see, that's kind of the sign for student services. And as we're walking in, kind of like a little plasticky type of material. They have this kind of deck here, some flowers. I could imagine undergrads setting up chairs and kind of having a good time out here. That's the layout if you are interested. And then here's kind of the companies that are sponsoring this and in partnership with BOXABL. This is the, I should note, the Casita model. So let's go ahead and go in here. And they got this nice little keypad, which would be good for some undergrads. And so now we walk inside and just kind of want to show you, it's a pretty small space, it's a true studio, but they've done it smartly, I think, at least in some ways. So there's this little couch area, for undergrads, kind of a nice little lounge. Maybe sit right here, watch some TV, but you have to note that this unit is actually the wall kind of separating the bedroom, which is over here. So this might not work for some people, or some people might not like this. I do think for a dorm environment, this kind of setting is fine. I mean, I think most of us lived in something probably worse than this when we were undergrads. And you can see that, so the storage unit, or the closet, I guess, is basically the only closet in this little dorm. And maybe for one person, this probably it'd be okay. It's not, maybe not your favorite thing. But again, we're talking about maybe undergrads or potentially grad students who are trying to live very lightly. There's actually in-unit washing machine here. It does feel a little bit out of place, but I guess that's the only spot for it. Maybe for an undergrad, you don't really need it, especially if you're going to be using facilities on campus. Same thing with the bathroom. The bathroom is pretty nice. They have this little sliding door. I know that's like going to be right next to your head there or whatnot, but it's fine. I think for undergrads, potentially, this would be better than a dorm where you're kind of sharing the bathroom. But maybe because you can customize these, the university could potentially just take the bathroom out, I don't know, and set up maybe a double room or something like that. The bathroom, looks pretty nice. These fixtures they're not luxurious or anything, but they are, I think workable for a college undergrad. And what's interesting is they actually have a lot of space in here for storage, almost too much. I think like you're designing this for undergrads. Do they need all this storage for toiletries and stuff like that? I mean, I think a lot of us were living pretty Spartan, although I guess that's my kind of bias as a young man in college. I was, stereotypically pretty filthy. So maybe for some of the female undergrads out there, that might be nice. And then we kind of come around to the kitchen. There's this kind of little area to eating. So you have a little eating nook, which is fine. Again, this is another thing that if you customize this out, do you really need this? If you are an undergrad with a meal plan, you might not need a lot of this stuff. Yeah, sure, maybe a microwave, but do you need a kind of a full range here? I'm not so certain. So it might work better for maybe a grad student or even someone a little bit like a non-traditional student. But again, a lot of storage. I think for one person, for one undergrad, this is probably more storage than they're gonna need in terms of dishes and things like that. So not entirely sure that this would be, they could redesign this space is kind of what I'm thinking. And it looks like this table even kind of has some hinges on it where you can sort of lower and raise it, which would be nice. So it's designed for one person right now, I think, with easily kind of adjusting for whatever the campus need is at the moment. You could make this into a double, actually. We go outside here. This is the back door. And here on the back door, they have this accessibility ramp, which I think is nice. So they could be pretty accessible. If we look here, here's kind of the power meters, and above, sorry for the sun there, I'll go on this side, we can kind of see the solar panels. So they are, these ones are powered by solar.
One thing that I wanted to add was that we can see that the BOXABL here is just kind of on the campus in the middle of this kind of walkway. I think this kind of like alumni walkway or pathway, whatever they want to call it. And it definitely looks out of place. I mean, this is basically like an art installation or just an installation for people to kind of see what's going on. And to be honest, it does seem weird. I think you would kind of need to have a field or something where you could put a bunch of these. Again, I would prefer if they could stack them. I'm not quite sure if that's a possibility. It seems like no. But for me, it's like, okay, well, if we're gonna build these prefabs, I guess the idea is that they need to be quick, they need to be cheap, and we need to get them up in case of definitely some kind of emergency, or in some cases if there's just a housing crunch and the university doesn't have money to build a proper dorm. So that's kind of my review of BOXABL. I think it could be a viable option in terms of, if you're really in crunch, or maybe you don't have the ability to build real strong solid dorms. I think it could be an option maybe. In some ways though, I'm wondering if the return on investment would match what you could get with sort of non-prefab, building an actual dorm. I think might be a little bit more viable in the long term. There's often complaints that colleges set up these kind of prefab units, and then when the students kind of use it quite a bit, use it a lot, after a couple years they get pretty nasty. So that would be my big concern. It seems like it's built pretty nice. It looks fine, but it is maybe I think like an upgraded version of what you would see kind of a prefab or a trailer or something. And as someone who lived in one as an undergrad, I can see how quickly they can degrade in terms of what a 20-year-old can potentially do to the place. And we're talking about, sharing and almost sharing the dorm, sharing the space. And so again, that's my only concern. I think it's an interesting option. I'm always looking for things that if we can save money, if we can build housing quickly so students aren't, living in their cars or on couches and things like that. I'm not sure this is the savior that we're looking for. There's a whole bunch of other problems, but it at least is interesting, and somebody's trying, and I'm glad I got to check it out.